Sit back and enjoy our feature presentation, all about the Asuras. Let's take a look at the Asuras, the demon troublemakers behind our planet's current adversities. Yeah, these people here, the ones that can't stand the light of the sun. The Asuras live underground in the 7 levels of the underworld. The first level is where their king, Bali Maharaj, lives. The 3rd level is where Lord Shiva lives. The further down you go, the more dangerous it gets. And the 7th level is where the Naga live. The Naga are some of the offsprings of the Asuras. They are not made in God's image, though they are human. They are snake people. They were on the planet during the Bronze Age, as witnessed by the Mayans, Egyptians, as well as in India. Disclaimer: while the following people exhibit the traits as described, they may or may not be actual Asura-possessed human. What exactly do we know about these Asuras? Getting to know the Asuras. The Asuras are, with few exceptions, in search of immortality, nourished by human sacrifice, full of bravado and bluff, advanced in the occult, live for war as long as others die, enemies of humans, associated with serpents and dragons, thrive on killing, control the weather, withholders of rain, cowards, don't trust each other, hate the sun, live in darkness, hoarders of gold and precious gems, driven by ego, eat human flesh, connoisseurs of food and wine, love to torture human children for pleasure, pedophiles, never worry about consequences in the future, redirect water, obstruct rivers and streams for profits, supporters of the arts even over others' basic needs, claim to be atheists because they think they are God. They only believe in what they see, and they're liars by nature. So is this something that only started in the last couple hundred years? Actually, no. As I mentioned before, the first level of heavenly planets goes through phases. Let's look. The Wheel of Dharma. Our Earth planet goes through 4 phases. The first Earth age lasts for 1,728,000 years. The second Earth age lasts for only 1,296,000 years. The third Earth age is reduced to 864,000 years, and our current Earth age lasts only 432,000 years. Lest you think the Earth is less than 4 million years old, this is the 28th spin of the wheel. There are 71 total spins before a new count starts. This wheel will show us just how we got where we are today. I'm going to set this little guy right up here so we can watch and see as things degrade. These are the golden years. No evil, including ghosts, spirits, and serpents. No buying and selling. No manual labor. No disease, nor the decay of senses. Everyone followed a single path to enlightenment. The golden age of peace, harmony, stability, and prosperity. People don't have to work to feed themselves, for the earth provided food in abundance. They lived extremely long lifetimes, yet maintained youthful appearances. Because people use their time to worship, they're given more time, so more is expected. It is when we go from the Golden Earth Age into the Silver Earth Age that things change. That is when the Asuras are released onto the surface of the planet. The Asuras built subways through South and Central America, and then later on up to the Midwest of North America. Also from South America through Africa up to Egypt and Europe, as well as to Sri Lanka and the Orient. They built cities in heavily forested areas to avoid sunlight. They were careful to avoid India and the surrounding areas. A very well-known architect by the name of Maya Asura built 3 Mayan cities, also cities and structures in the Middle East, Egypt, Sri Lanka, and even in India under a special arrangement. His stonework is so perfect there is no need for mortar. Some of the stones, such as those under the Temple Mount, couldn't even be lifted with our modern-day equipment. You can't even slip a piece of paper between the joints. So, amazing building techniques that we can't replicate to this day are a good thing, but now let's get back to the slow decline of our planet's culture. With Asuras added to the mix, things immediately began to change. Spirituality, intelligence, memory, physical strength, stature are reduced by 25%. Religion starts to follow ritual. Sacrifices, including food, animals, and human, are introduced. The rituals and sacrifices are performed for the fruit they will bring, such as rain and prosperity. Wars, floods, and drought, reptiles, biting insects, and disease come with the introduction of Asuras on the planet. Now that we enter the Bronze Age, the Asuras are free to mingle with the humans. This inevitably brings on the mixing of the bloodlines. Many more rituals are added, and some of the people began to deviate from the path of truth. Disease and decay enter the society. There are natural disasters. Spirits and ghosts began to appear. Being affected by such things, people began to practice austerities. Others perform deeds to try to enter heaven. People's godliness is cut by half. Since it was during the Bronze Age that the human Asuras were allowed to mingle with humans on the surface of the planet, the Asuras brought out other underworld humans that were not made in the image of God. They brought out the Naga, snake people, and others we see in both drawings, hieroglyphs, and carvings in stone in South America, Central America, and Egypt. This was done to claim they were gods in order to control the masses. The presence of these creatures, along with the withholding of rain, convinced the subjects to sacrifice their children to the gods. This led to the extinction of the Mayans, Incas, Anasazi, and Aztecs, and in the mid-1900s we were introduced to some of them by accident, literally. The Greys, as we called them, were in a crash in Roswell, New Mexico, and the ones we call Chupacabra were also spotted in Mexico, the Philippines, and in the late 1980s, in South Carolina, people on different occasions made police reports of a lizard man attacking their moving vehicles. The lizard people are used as slaves and occasionally escape from the tunnels. They hunt at night due to the blinding sun. Since spirits are allowed, the Asuras use another one of their tricks. They use their ability to cast their spirits into human bodies. They possess the firstborn males in India's royal families. That way, they were able to take over the area where the godly lived. This attack was so egregious that Krishna himself came to stop the Asuras in their tracks. When Krishna left the planet, the Iron Age began. These were truly the days of Noah. Kali Yuga is our current Earth Age, described as age of quarrel, the age of darkness, the age of hypocrisy. Godliness would be down 3/4. Greed and selfishness would be on the rise. Leaders would no longer care about the welfare of their citizens. They would only look out for themselves. The gap between the rich and poor would increase. The eating of flesh would become widespread, not just confined to the demon Asuras. Cleanliness, austerity, mercy, truth, compassion, tolerance, longevity, physical strength, and memory would fade away day by day. People would live together based on sexual gratification. A person's spiritual status would be only determined by symbols worn around their neck. Hypocrisy will be seen as a virtue. When some people speak, smoke will come from their mouths. People will attend church only to be seen. Men will no longer protect their aging parents, but will instead abandon them to the state. Constant war would be accepted as a way of life. All of these descriptions were written more than 5,000 years ago when they sounded like mythology. Another of the Puranas describes it like this: thieves will become kings, and kings will be the thieves. Rulers will confiscate property and use it badly. They will cease to protect the people. Base men who have gained a certain amount of learning without having the virtues necessary to use it will be esteemed as sages. There will be many displaced persons wandering from one country to another. Predatory animals will be more violent. Children will be killed in the wombs of their mother. No one will be able to trust anyone else. People will be envious. There will be many children born whose life expectancy is no more than 16 years. Shopkeepers will run dishonest businesses. There will be many beggars and unemployed people. Everyone will use hard and vulgar language. Men will devote themselves to earning money, and the richest will hold power. The state leaders will no longer protect the people, but through taxes will appropriate all wealth. Water will be lacking, and pre-cooked food will be readily available. The Asuras learned a very important lesson, not to use their powers to possess the godly. Instead, they started to possess the ungodly. So they started taking over the bodies of the richest and most powerful people in our modern-day society in order to form a one-world government. Thank you for watching our presentation all about the Asuras. The next video in the series is Asura-possessed humans.